if you don't mind, with the poem first, and then we'll go to the conversation. We're going to be talking about equanimity today. Equanimity, aquas animus. Aquas animus is where that came from. Meaning, aquas means in flow or in balance. And it even sounds it, doesn't it, like aquas. Animus means soul, heart, mind, right? Animus, being, maybe spirit. You could use all of that language. So aquas animus, isn't that beautiful? This flowing right along. That is the Latin for the English word that then became equanimity. I actually prefer it, I will say. Doesn't it just sound so mellifluous and like so it? I just hit on the poem and it gave me an error for some reason. I'm going to try to see why, because this is the other thing I want to share, that I think once we make contact with it, this concept of equanimity, I think will be clear. Oh, I know what happened. And so what I'd like you to do while I'm pulling this up is think about another word. What would be your word? And be a little spontaneous. It doesn't need to be a synonym. What would be your word as you're thinking about equanimity? Write it in the chat or just shout it out. What would be your word for equanimity?
Balance.
Clear communication.
I don't know.
Whatever comes to mind.
Congruent.
Congruence.
Balance.
Balance. Fairness.
Wow.
Something equitable. So that's getting fair flow. What else?
Holding to.
Say it again.
Holding to.
Holding to. Non-reactive.
Open. Open.
Open. Unhooked. Imperturbable.
Yeah.
Any others?
Experience the oneness.
I said before, peace.
Peace. Didn't hear that. Thank you.
Experiencing the oneness.
I'm
No,
going to pull this back up, which is just the way my technologies go. As
Right.
I said, some things we're good at, others less. Here it is. Swimming One Day in August is the name of the poem by Mary Oliver. It is time now, I said, for the deepening and quieting of the spirit among the flux of happenings. Something had pestered me so much, I thought my heart would break. I mean, the mechanical part. I went down in the afternoon to the sea, which held me until I grew easy. About tomorrow, who knows anything, except that it will be time again for the deepening and quieting of the spirit. Who knows anything, right? Except for that which holds, we call it, don't we, then, in our practice, whatever arises. And then it leads me to the teaching of the 8 vicissitudes. Isn't that a lovely, another fun word, the vicissitudes? And does anybody remember that idea of the 8 worldly winds or the 8 vicissitudes? And what do you remember about it? The 8 vicissitudes. Anybody have a recollection? It is a Buddhist, well, it's a human thing. And then the Buddha, in fact, came up with the 8 vicissitudes, the worldly winds. This was Mary Oliver's idea of flux. the happenings, the arisings and passing. And the Buddha himself said there's 8 things that are continually happening. And I almost regularly forget them, but I'll do my best. You'll get the idea. Joy and sorrow, pleasure and pain, loss and gain, fame and disrepute, wanting and not wanting, liking and not liking, seeking and rejecting. What is it? The whole in its, just for that discussion of binary, right? Of the this and the that, says the Zen tradition. You get the idea, right? The arisings of this and that. And that if there is a this, there will always be a that. And that that is an immutable law. Can you think of a thing that is a this that is not a that? I used to say love is the one impermanence or the this, or in the Zen, again, one might say isness, or just the abiding. And guess what? Not quite so either. Why? Not because it comes and goes. We'll talk about these Brahma Viharas, these heavenly sublime abodes, their permanence, their boundlessness, their timeless, right? So they are not in flux, but they are in varied form, aren't they? So they are a this and a that, right? Because just think about the infinite forms of love, unending, right? And so it could be this form and that form. Though the love is the permanence, always abiding, always available, always manifesting, there is any version of that, right? Can you think of a thing that doesn't also have change as an aspect of its reality? Anything. And we'll put the Brahma Viharas in the soup for that conversation. Is there anything you can imagine that doesn't have change as a part of its inherent condition, we call it? You know what I mean? Inherent, intrinsic to the thing. Permanent? Who knows? Who knows? And to what? Coming from what? And going to what? We can't even go, right? Except if we look at all things, and in all things, there is ever-changing reality, right? Why would it not be true? I guess I'll ask you that. How would it not be true that after death, before birth, there wasn't also continuous arisings and passings? Could it be otherwise? Doesn't look like it. And do we, right? Because there was nothing before there was, so it looks. And then we go, well, now there's nothing, so it, right. We're not going to speak to that. And so when you hear that, there was this and that, then there was, we're going to do a meditation now on the realities of how to bring equanimity off the cushion, really. Because I think it's easier here when we're just sitting in stillness, right? We establish conditions, don't we, for a little ease, a little abiding. We settle the mind just a little. If the minimum, we let go of thoughts rather than mistake ourselves. I call that creating room for ourselves and our own equanimous nature, abiding nature. But it is not stagnant. This is called the near enemy of equanimity. It is not stagnant. It is not fixed. It is not permanent. It is not unchanging. So we don't want to mistake equanimity, right, for that. false fixed sense. And we then don't want to mistake it for where I think the Zen tradition frequently failed, I have to say, and particularly the practitioners around the near enemy of indifference. Indifference. Like, peace, except there was no peace. The equanimity is an inner experience. It's a depth of experience. It's a resting at the center, not some distance from it. You get the difference? Yes.
And is it similar? What comes up for me over and over is kind of like dialectical thinking, where it's two things can be true at the same time, two opposites. can
Yes,
be
that's
true.
right.
So would that be a way to also describe? Because I understand somewhat.
Yes.
Equanimity. I've thought of it for a long time, many years, but I still can't like
Grab it.
articulate clearly what that is.
Yes.
And so that's the closest thing that's coming to mind. Would that be?
I would say it would be non-binary, right? Not this or that, but this and that. So let's start there. And then it would be, rather than taking us, we get this mixed up a lot in equanimity, a step away from it. This is its mistake.
Okay, great.
It's a mistake. Even Joko said to me, take the 16th floor view. This is equanimity. And I'm going to say no.
Hey, could you help me?
I'm going to say no. It's getting directly into the center
Put this on the
where
table.
there is still abiding.
I didn't
Get the
eat from
difference?
that. I just put that in. I only ate
Yeah.
from this spoon.
You get the
As some
difference?
responsibilities.
Equanimity is
So, how
fully
was your
engaged,
going
whole
to the gym
body,
experience?
mind, not somewhere
Yeah.
else, though it is
Introduce it.
spacious. That's correct, right? That is one of its attributes. We're going to practice that in a second, but it is not separate.
You have like a routine that you're doing?
Observing it.
You create a routine?
That's right.
Do this and just-
It's an error.
Fascinating.
It's an error, isn't it? Because that's the Zen problem. I'm here looking at that, but I separate myself from it. No, not equanimity. Equanimity is I am in the depths, but still silent, abiding. Right? Get the difference now? Everybody, can you hear me? This is a very big teaching for me.
Diana,
It's only taken me about 40 years to get to this, right? The difference isn't, because we can look at the problem from here, can't we? The difficulty, the moment, but can we ever then be the contributor, not as well from here as from here, right? And now, of course, all the teachers are talking about what? Embodied presence. You got to be in it. You can't take the seat back. We can't talk about poverty anymore, or inequity or injustice anymore. We have to be in it, right? That this is going to be the only healing. No longer the ideas about recycling and about ecology, and we better be living, breathing, right? See the different space it's in? The conversation changes then, doesn't it?
I just have a question. I don't know
Yes.
if it's appropriate, but given the use of it, but where's the disconnect in your mind from Zen tradition?
This and that, that perspective of this and that, there is no difference. It is the holding of this and that, not this or. That's right. That's all. It's non-binary. And of course, where are we in the world? Look where we are. We're unscrewing all the binaries, aren't we? Look where we're starting. Not that. Male, female, never mind. That color, this color, forget about it. Right? That ethnicity, this one, nope. Right? Into the whole, into the whole, into the wholeness. Right? And if you are in this or that, you're suffering right now, aren't you? You're in suffering. My mother walked into a bathroom. There was a guy next to her washing her hands, and she went, oh my God, I'm in the wrong bathroom. And she walks out and what? Uh-oh. And now she's going, where? Wait a minute. And she doesn't get the picture because it's everybody, right? Looking at the door, like, where's my bathroom? Where's my bathroom? That is your bathroom, right? Ah, right? This is all of us, isn't it? This is nothing about, right? We're all unhooking. Remember, I used that word, unhooking from these falsely believed delusional ideas of this or this. It is
Not
this.
choosing a side.
That's right. Non-binary, non-side taking. And then we add attributes or qualities like ease, equanimity, and abiding as the heart mind that we're going to cultivate.
I guess the Zen thing would be like you're outside of the this or that, and you're saying you're inside the
Yeah.
this. or-
You're embodied. You
Does that
are.
make the yin yang just gray now?
Yeah.
that.
I think so.
Oh, good.
I think it's more true,
Well, I mean, that's what the yin yang is done is it is pushing into each other.
isn't it? And it does have an element of the other right in it.
Yes.
Is right, doesn't it? And actually, I'm going to say probably not correct, more like the sky. Right? Isn't that's probably the truth in appearances, moments of blue and white. And really, is it true? No, no, it's not actually accurate. And yes, by appearance. And so we're going to practice with that and see how we do. I have just had an inspiration around it. So let's see how it goes. And I think I've got the recording. Somebody's got it on, maybe. Thank God Carrie's home. Thank God she's back. All right, everyone, let's prepare to sit. We're going to let go now of these ideas because ideas are not sufficient for practice. Are they? And like, how do you practice that now? Other than go little, right? Little,
Like what?
little. And that's not good enough. And by the way, the practice, in formal sitting practice, we will get a felt sense. That's the goal. And then we're going to talk about how do you bring that into the world? Well, without a felt sense, it will be much more challenging. And also remembering in the Brahma Vihara teachings, it says that the equanimity is already in you. It is your true nature. It is something to continue to cultivate, right? That's the work, to continue to cultivate, but it is already a part of your inherent nature. And we can forget this too, like I got to go get something else and it's not accurate. We are going to cultivate what is already here to begin. And so finding a comfortable posture, we have to do something funny. Just feeling into the body and settle the body. And finding your way to do so. One of the communal ways that we do that is by gathering the in-breath. And so let's find the next in-breath and draw it in deeply. And then a big out through the mouth. Settling in. Then we're going to do it again, breathing in deeply. A little more. And the big out. We're going to do it one more time. Breathing in from all directions now, not from the body. You're breathing in all open space all around you in that open, spacious awareness. Breathe it in. Hold it at the top. Now we're going to breathe it back out into space. And now we're breathing in and out in that ocean breath. The breath that comes to you from beyond. The breath that is and it's arising. And it's fading and it's changing. And it's release. back out. You, an aspect of that ocean breath. And we're going to allow it to breathe you. Let go of the in, out, up, down. We're going to lose the binary on this. We could say non-separation. The breath was before you, is now, and continues. And so we settle the mind in that vast, open, empty ocean breath. Not separate from the expanse, not separate from the timelessness or the boundlessness, but an essential part. Non-separate. And as you're breathing in, see if you can get the real sense, the non-delusion sense that you're breathing in all that is also breathing. You're breathing in the trees and the lettuce and the neighbor, the person sitting next to you, the person's at home, the person's across this land, this world, and beyond. And you can allow the toggling, we call it, the attending to both the space, the intra-connectedness, as well as the arising and passing breath, all a part of the whole. You are not only breathing that which is present, you are breathing that that has existed and been and changed and died throughout all time. You are breathing your parents' breath, your mother's breath, and your father's breath, their parents' breath. And on throughout all time. And it is breathing you. In this ocean breath. You're being breathed by the wisdom of all traditions, by all of the Buddhas, all of the awakened ones throughout all time, right here in this one breath. Rising and passing in this ocean of awareness, this ocean of connection. Abiding all change. Gains and losses, pleasure and pain, abiding it all, just this one breath. Not only the present, not only the past, but we are being breathed by the future. This is the breath of our children and their futures and their children's and theirs. And we hold it all with just this one breath, letting it arise and fill and expand and open and change. The descent, the return, the quieting, the emptying back into the stillness. And each time now that we touch into the still point, the pause, the sacred space of stillness and silence at the end of each out breath in its death, and the space between the new birth, the in breath, with each touch, light touch into that stillness, we're going to drop beneath the surface of the ocean a little deeper into the center. let yourself float down and in. Immersing yourself completely. Abiding all change, all flux, all happenings, all comings and all goings, that wave of the ocean with stillness. In silence. I am not the in breath or the out breath. I am not the arising thought or the passing thought. I'm not this pleasure or this pain. I am that which is balanced, open, imperturbable, unshakable equanimity. Abiding all change, being disturbed by none. And that doesn't mean that we don't feel, or that we don't have thoughts, or that we don't have a body experience at all. This is that faulty Zen thinking, somehow removed. But we abide this as well. Not separate from, an essential part. Resting in the vast, open, spacious ocean of awareness. the heart mind itself, now boundless, timeless, birthless and deathless. And then for a moment, I'd like you to open to maybe an image of yourself as an infant. Maybe a picture, maybe a fleeting memory, but picturing yourself there in your newness, your freshness, the new beginning. Arrival into this human incarnation. You grab your toes, you suck your fingers, everything you see is new, everything you hear, fresh, exciting. You are a part of it all. There's new learning and new growth and change happening every day. And we take it all in with joy. We're not fearful of the change. We are not worried about the realities of the growth, and expansion. We're simply in love. And breathe that in. The newness of everything, the freshness of everything. In connection, in love with everything. Continuously changing. And then from the infant, we venture forth into being a toddler, and our world expands. We're now in movement, mobility. We can touch things. We can manipulate things. The learning and the growth is exponential. And in all of that continuous change, we are still abiding. We're smiling. We fall, we get up, we go to sleep, we awake, we eat, we poop, we cry and we laugh. We're there, rested, present, abiding. And then we go to school and we continue to learn and become a part of community, begin to learn our place in a larger family of things. Lots of information and facts and growth. And in it all, we remain still and silent. We form friendships and family. We begin to define ourselves by the experiences in our world, in our lives, and then we begin to change. The body continues to change, relationships change, family begins to grow and change. We move into adolescence where the sense of an I or a me or mine is in discovery. And with each wave, with each breath, we abide. Picturing yourself there. Strong emotions, lots of ideas, big confusion. Who am I? What is this? Seeking answers and clarity, identity. And in all of this, we simply breathe the ocean breath. And from adolescence into adulthood, we expand our roles, our relationships, our skills. We develop competencies and identities attached to them. We make choices and set goals, empower ourselves, and impact our world. And in all of this, we continue to breathe and be in that ocean of awareness. We travel, we find a partner, we have children, we establish a career and a home and a life. And then we begin to notice the children are growing and the garden is abundant, the house is full, and the career is complete. And then we notice the continuing changes. The body begins to slow or soften or change. The skin not as taut, the muscle not as firm. Children not as present. Too many things in the house. And in all of this, we breathe. Abiding in its center. And we continue to age and all things grow, mature, and life feels complete. Or it doesn't. The energy is waning, the body is failing, the eyes aren't seeing, and sounds are dull. And things begin to quiet and still. And settle. And there are more doctors and hospitals and moments of challenge with the body. And the skin thins. And the body thins. And the ego thins. Like the hair. And the body, the being, becomes so translucent, so transparent, that it simply becomes like light, shining right through us, right from us, until the body completely fails and dies. And there is only that light. And in all of this, the awakened heart mind is imperturbed, is undisturbed, is unshaken. And it holds all things, including the grief, the confusion, the wanting something else. And in all this, we breathe as we rest in that ocean breath, in that ocean of awareness. Just resting in that radiant light. Forever connected to all things. So that this breath is not just our breath, it is all of our breath. Always. And as we breathe and rest in equanimity, we remember the preciousness and the fleetingness of it all. May all beings have ease and well-being. May all beings dwell in equanimity, free from attachment and free from aversion, abiding all change. Aquas animus. And may it continue. There used to be a box of Kleenex. Is it hidden somewhere? That's, I can't see anything. I can't see Margie back there at all. Though I know you're here. You and Dia. Someone is not muted. I hope we took care of that. So what do you know about equanimity? Or what don't you know about equanimity? It's hard to stay in it. Hard to stay in it. And what makes that, what do you think makes that hard? What arises that makes equanimity hard?
Well, what came up for me was if you were going through the body's life cycle was an attachment. And the truth is always there. And when we got to death, I was almost like,
Yes, actually, there is that part. When we do that body dissolution practice, that's all we find at the end.
but then the light always has been there. And there was sort of a belief moment.
That's right. I don't even have to hang on to this. I could feel you all tense. By the way, where are we going? Where are we going? We're going out. We're going out. And we are changing. It's true. Yes. We don't trust. We hold on to what we can, right? What we perceive as solid, right? Says the Buddha. Oh, be careful what you think is solid. It will disappoint you. What is it? My money, my body, my brains, I used to, when I was a young person, say, I could deal with anything but Alzheimer's. Because I had so identified in some way with my thinking mind that the idea of not having that was just completely intolerable. Right? I have a 3 times more likely chance of getting Alzheimer's than the average population, as it turns out. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But we're all going to, right? The change is here already in this breath, isn't it? There's no breath before, there's no breath after. It's this one. It's changing. And so what are we hanging on to? Because this is the cause of all. It's hard. I want it like this. I don't want it like this.
My great grandmother used to, I was thinking my great grandmother used to say when she was 80, I still feel like I'm 18.
The 18-year-old was still right there, right? Who's lost that person? It's also there, as is the 18-year-old I said of your mother, and your mother's mother and hers is also here, right? Not in the form we prefer. This is where bias, prejudice gets us in a lot of trouble, right? And preference, doesn't it? Gets us in trouble because I liked that. I want that. I want to keep it or hold it or remember it, or right. Look at the beauty of this plant, and it is changing, right? And those you already see there's some new blooms and some wilting blooms, right? It's all amazing. It's amazing. Everything is amazing, isn't it? It's all amazing. And where then is the equanimity? Yeah. Hmm? Really being in it all. And I felt some tears in myself in moments of this. Can I be in equanimity with these? In the joys of it and the sorrows of it? Yes. Can't we? Without trying to get rid of it or gotta. Yes, we can. And then we cry for it all. Actually. And that's being in the center. See, not feeling it, not, it's not true. And that's why I'm gonna stick with my, not quite the 16th floor view. Not quite. This is Rhea, and if you move, Rhea will run away or scratch you from her fight or flight brain. She is fairly feral, and not my cat, by the way, is the neighbor's cat who I feed. Hi, Rhea. Oh, this is just unbelievable. So look at this changing moment. She's looking for the treats. That's because I'm the treat giver. Say, where are those tender fiddles? Get them out here. And so where do you see yourself getting stuck? Robin started talking about it. It's hard because I want something else, or I believe I should be some other way, which is a lot like wanting something else, isn't it? Isn't it? Like if I'm really equanimous, I heard somebody's little Zen mind, then I wouldn't be tearing. Is it true? It is not true. Then I wouldn't be angry. It's not true. You would be angry without acting out is probably true. Wouldn't you? You'd feel the arising of the energy, you'd feel the aversion of it even, but you wouldn't be stuck there. And that's a big difference. Okay. It's a big difference.
For me, a little bit, it's a transition from one thing to the next.
Like, give me an example.
Like my kids are not in my house.
Yeah.
Or I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
then those were the judgments that were coming up.
Oh, you had some
Right.
thoughts about that experience.
Yeah.
So it was no longer just experience, it was what that you've imbued. We call that imbuing. So that's a good thing or a bad thing or a right thing or a wrong thing. We do that too. So how do we hold all that judgment with equanimity?
Just notice it.
Yeah. Then you would see judgment arising and changing and fading and passing. Wouldn't you? Or grief. or joy or. Wouldn't we?
Situation right now where we're involved in major transition in our life, and it directly affects a couple family members where change is gonna happen to them where they're not at all ready. Very angry, very, very angry.
So
about
not
it,
wanting this.
not wanting,
Mhm.
and the projection of there's people who can't acknowledge the truth of something.
Yeah. Or don't
and-
see it the same way, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it disrupts.
Yeah.
Where, the comfort, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
there's rage and projection toward me, seeing me as the change agent, when really it's been happening, right, over time, but then
That's
when it's confronted and it actually has to unfold in a certain way, there's so where I'm having difficulty is staying in the place of, acknowledging the truth, what the truth is. This is hard for me too, right? Feeling for myself,
Yeah.
not getting caught up in that. Again,
I am the bad one.
yeah, and trying to get comfortable again,
Yeah.
make everyone comfortable, so then everyone's okay, right? The idea of okay.
I think that's what's scary about the this versus that, being in the this and that, is that it feels like you're like a tsunaami. Because if you're on the 16th floor, you're away.
Yes,
Being inside of it feels a lot more.
Yes.
intimidating.
yes. If you are not in equanimity, if you are not in the depth, in the stillness, in the truth, I think I just heard Lydia say, right? That's the wisdom factor that comes to bear, like in the knowing that this is ultimately best, even when it's difficult. And by the way, it's going to be for you as well. It's not just going to be hard for them. It's going to be, because then I don't know where my own can opener is and where the kids are going and what the school, it's all true, right? We don't have to get rid of that. That's not the point. So what is? We're not going to get rid of people's opinions. We're not going to get rid of our own, right? And not required. This is not required.
Letting go of trying to control it.
Yes. Lydia said change agent. She took a lot on right there. Didn't she? I am the cause of this wave. And then you self-corrected. You said, however, it's been happening. It's all in its arising. Every wave that touches the shore has had an entire trajectory, hasn't it? It is not just you moving the sand. It is everything. And when we forget that, when we go into the eye of it, we can either take on the accomplishment of it, so great, or we take on, right, it's my fault. I did that.
I have to take care of everything.
It's all in the eyes.
Yep, I have to make everything.
There's the
peace.
eyes showing up there. There's the
The
attachment.
rule.
There's the attachment. It is bigger than to the thing. The attachment is to the I in it. I made it, I did it, I destroyed it, I broke it, I divorced it, I didn't something it, I don't know what you got. You got I something at the end of that sentence. Right? This is the beginning of aversion and attachment. It begins right there. It's bigger than your thoughts about schools, your thoughts about where to live, isn't it? It is in the I forming. I am somehow responsible or not responsible, or the one supposed to fix it, or the one who was supposed to do it differently. And there's guaranteed and certain suffering in all of this, isn't there? Just immense. And then talk about tears or anger, right? Because now it's going all around. You're mad at me. Well, guess what? I think you're a jerk too.
It feels like the word I'm gonna use, I don't know, but just the blur that's inside of you.
We
Like,
could
you
call it
can't quite-
whirlpool. You know, as we think about an ocean using the water element as an understanding, it's a whirlpool.
Yeah.
Isn't it? We're just in, and by the way, the whirlpool is used often in the Zen tradition as self-making. It is this self-making, right, with me as the center. With me as the center. And that can be a destabilizing, can't it? When we buy into the, because then it all became fabulous or fell apart depending on the day. And if you hear yourself, don't buy into either.
Well, scapegoat, there's always like, we do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Instead of just, this is much more complicated and interwoven.
It's so interconnected that you couldn't, if you really were going to try to, in physics, particle it out, you wouldn't have enough lifetimes. The infinite factors, right, is as it is understood. And that's why I began with all that has come before is here, and all that is now is here, and all that is yet to be, even though it is not static or solidified, is also here. That's why we practice, by the way, because the awakened mind now is the fertile soil for the next and the next and the next. And equanimity is understood, by the way, in the Brahma Vihara teachings to be the essential to hold them all. Because look at what can happen then with compassion, if not held with equanimity. You're toppled, aren't you? That compassion becomes it. Your own heart is so broken, or you're in so much grief, or that you cannot then contribute any. They're all held and it's understood. All of the heart factors held in equanimity. And then we do the best we can see, know, in the moment we have. And then we rest. Because in the rest, here's another interesting thing in the neuroscience. In the rest, you will see whatever other factor is alive and in motion. In the rest, not in the movement, you will see whatever other factor is in movement. And then the 10. Oh, didn't even see that, because I was all stirred up about whose idea it was and who didn't get credit, and right, that I actually am not able to really act most open-heartedly, skillfully, wisely.
I have a after I after all these years of practice and understanding and it being kind of the sole focus of my life, is I really can get to that place of an open understanding to where, and I can see it very intricately and it makes so much sense. And there's that deep, there's a thing, this hurt that they have in, it is beyond their control. It is somewhere they have to place it. I've been receiving it since I was that hurt that I can for a little while, and I can in the moment, and I have like, but I record that hurt so deep, and I know it's there because this is my mind. I do not fool myself about anything. I don't gloss over. I don't supposed to. No, it's can't fucking let it go. It hurt me so bad and over and over, and I just so I know this is where it lies for me, and it's so low and so deep. And there's a thing about justice. I know in there. You throw the balance, the scales of justice.
Mhm.
That it's a decision I've made for life. I know it's not going to happen.
Mhm.
I came here, I couldn't even relate to what you're saying, getting the section. Under joy, dream. What are you talking about? I could still win. I came in with myself, this is where I want to go, and it's really tough, and it's really tough all by myself because I just
That's right.
everything, and it's designed to trip me up and come back.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's the wonders of the universe. Back to distractions, back to this. I can't, and yeah, that
Yeah.
and really healing and just like
Nobody does it alone. And so I'm so glad you're here. To be
I
held,
really need
yeah, to be held by the minds that, and the hearts, really, it's maybe more importantly, that can hold your pain, your trauma, your suffering, your grief, your whatever we bring, right, in the larger container of the one mind. And so you will be reminded by virtue of the everyone else's capacity to hold it.
find
Yeah,
I can see the little things that happen, and I know hurt.
yeah,
And it's all the time.
yeah. As whenever we make the story ours, there is attachment and aversion guaranteed, isn't it? Because then we become victim, the other becomes perpetrator, we get into fixed roles, we go shouldas, nots, wants, justice, and right, all of this begins to come into play. And I don't know. I'm not saying I in any way know. I do know the way to practice in this moment then with just this, whatever it is now. Of course, all of that, as I said, also here. Also here. It is true. And so really, what's the practice then? So when we're drowning, right? When we're drowning, lost in pain, lost in grief, lost in being attacked, where do we go? Where would equanimity direct you? Where?
To the body, like
Possibly,
physical
maybe,
sense,
might be,
to the present moment.
yeah. Just this breath, just this as a workable, digestible, available thing. Could it be in the breath? It might it not be? It might not be, because for some of us, this is too activated, particularly as it relates to trauma, specifically, by the way. So getting in here, maybe not so right. That's why we're not going to name a thing. We're going to name what? So then we go to establish and anchor ourselves in some way in the present moment, where maybe that the color of that blossom, maybe something I can see here, right? Accessing present moment experience. And so we're not lost in the gigantic ocean of suffering.
What I've been playing with a lot lately is one of my practices really been focused on the last 3-4 weeks is catching myself. And when I find most victims, most mom going through this immense process, right? Where I don't get to say, I'm sorry, but I just say I'm sorry. And when I catch myself, when the most resistance comes over that is when I'm stuck most with self. So I've been just doing this little mental visual, taking one breath, and that part of me, or whatever that piece is, literally stepping out of my body, nice over here to the side, creating a little more space.
Mhm. There is
Because them too.
that's right, for them too, exactly, to the extent that that's possible now. And to the extent that it isn't possible, well, I don't have that container size yet. I'm going to put what I can fit in this one Right, and so they use the analogy of the little teaspoon of salt. This is a little sutta that goes with this concept of equanimity. And so it says a teaspoon of salt in a thimble will be unbearable, undrinkable. The teaspoon of salt in the thimble and a teaspoon of salt in the ocean is drinkable. Right, so you get the statement, and we're talking about that, are we? Where can I be then? Is the question, isn't it? Where can I be to hold experience with some kind of stability, equanimity, open-heartedness? And it may not be in the particle, may not be there. It may be in what I can do is hold it like this, in that, right, this container with this shore and this ground. And you will know, won't you? Because you'll go, uh-oh, over I'm go, wait, look. And then we reestablish ourselves in that stability. Do you know what I mean by this? And those containers are often then interpreted as the self. The self. The smaller the self, the larger the suffering. The larger the self, the dilution of the self definition. I am this. This is me. You hear what I'm
So
saying?
larger self meaning more expansive definition. Of
And
what that
porous,
is.
even, I would say.
It's more flexible. it's
Uh-huh.
not as rigid.
Yeah, we call that psychological flexibility. I do not see myself as only the event or as only the, and to Margie's point, and this occurred. Right? This did occur. It's a real thing. And we can't push that out of the way either. That's another spiritual bypassing, isn't it? And it's very dangerous because then we're likely to end up right back where we were without the wisdom factor, without the mindfulness, without the wait a minute, that's not workable. That's not okay. I can't keep having conversations where people go, if it weren't for you, then look, that's not of benefit to anyone, is it? No. And so, you know, we can mistake, can't we? Equanimity's ideas for, well, then you just take it. No, I don't think so.
Well, that comes back to like the self-compassion piece. So first feeling for yourself first. That's the part I get tripped on.
Yeah.
I feel for the other first and accommodate. And then I go,
Yes.
oh yeah, and I matter too.
Yeah, I'm in
So
this.
Here first.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
to the other.
And then whatever you have to offer. Whatever you have to offer them through self-compassion. And it says that self-compassion will naturally arise without self-definition. Without I am the injury, I am the trauma, I am. Self-compassion is actually so much bigger that it eventually says for all those and me who are stuck in moments like this where family blame or someone judges or there's harm. And again, in its time, there is no, you better get to the, and in fact, that's not very compassionate anyway. I should be here, or it should be like that, or you is just more being caught in the waves. Right.
That spiritual bypass I've been finding one thing this year. What a mind. And then listening to Dharma talks online and stuff by these great teachers, it's like this feels a little like spiritual bypassing because it's like, huh,
Yeah,
I'm not ready to let that go. Just
Yeah,
like
that's
that,
right.
easy like that.
That's right.
And so it's like, whoa, here, whoa, wait a minute.
That's
I gotta
right.
Come back here, and then, so I don't know that there's even an answer.
that's right.
It's an ongoing balance.
I think the idea of letting go is dangerous. And I know it's a process that occurs as we are becoming more present, available, skillful, and loving. It just happens. We don't grab the thing. We're talking about attachment and aversion here, right? But I don't think we can just go, don't do that. That
I
doesn't
mean,
mean,
there's something that's easy about that.
it's an easy
That's
idea.
how people join cults.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm giving up my identity.
It's a great
Let's
idea.
just Go with another program.
Yes, there's a community in the area and I have several of those devotees as clients, and they frequently come in and say to me, I have transcended that. And I'm always like, how?
Yeah.
How did you do that? Well, I just picture the light. Okay. That's nice. We used a little light in this practice too, right? But you have to be careful now because we are also the body. And the body is also changing and it is also real, right? And we can't just go into the light. We're dealing with this relative world, right? And aging, illness, and death is real. And it is here in this relative plane that we're breathing in. And so we can't just, right? Because then you don't put your pants on in the morning, which is also helpful, right? So we have to be so watchful of that absolute idea that nothing matters anyway. Really? I don't know. I don't want to live from that. I don't want to live from that. And if I'm toppled by everything matters, I don't want to be drowned by that either. Right? So this is what the Buddha called the middle path. Holding it. That's the balance. As real and changing. Right? As real and changing. So that we attend skillfully, honestly, right? That we're not just trying to get around the discomforts of this world with ignoring it, because I haven't found, who is it that says the unseen, unfelt, unfaced is toxic? You know what I mean? So we can't just go, no. The unseen, unfelt, unknown, and then unfaced is toxic and will cause your harm. Right? Just like we think if too much will drown me, well, not acknowledging, addressing just a different kind of drown. Right? We just get vacuum sealed. Right? And so that's our continuing work. And so how could you see working with this now when you go out there and you're noticing the constriction, you're noticing the feeling judged or judging, right? What could you do? Breathe. Yep. You could pause, create space, and breathe. So now we're not just the thimble, we're creating a container of stillness and silence for ourselves. And we already know, and it's well evidenced now, that 3 to 5 breaths later, you do not have the same heart mind. Well, I care about that, don't you? 3 to 5 breaths later, you do not have the same stuck, attached, contracted heart mind. And it doesn't mean it's all transformed and you're just light. We won't jump to that either. That's not more real. But you are already in the rotation. You are already in the growth. You are already in it. And then you will see more clearly. So then right now, with this, how shall I live? How shall I live? And if I feel contracted, if I feel judged, if I feel blaming, I don't. I don't. I just keep breathing. And boy, that's skillful. I'm starting to get it. like, don't act from that. It will propagate harm. And our number one principle, the noblest principle, is cause least harm.
That's the 16th floor.
We have a cat climbing.
I know, she's like, I'm climbing for my tender
I'm
vittles.
trying, wherever those are, I'm going to find them.
It's like this all Mary looking at us like.
Oh, and you're going for it. You're not even at the, don't do the tree. You won't like that.
No.
That will not be. Wow. So do we see every moment is a healing opportunity. It really is. And what did I do? Nothing. But what I didn't do was the same thing. That's what I didn't do. I didn't do the same blame, the same judge, the same take it on, the same it's my job, the same it's all my fault, the same. I didn't do that. I just created space. And that is the beginning of equanimity. What do? I don't know. I know the space will inform. And that you are closer now to your true self. I will tell you this also. You are closer to your true self with that space than you just were in whatever else it was, right? And can we just practice and see what happens? Don't believe me. Forget about it. Try it. And in my family, we are once again learning the gentle finger, which means I'm going to take a couple of those breaths without expectation. Don't know what I'm right. Don't know where I'm going. Don't know if I'm answering. Don't know. But just to get out of the cycle of reactivity. Just that. Just stopping that is everything. Just let's agree if somebody does this or this, that we take those 3 or 5 breaths and then decide where from here, right? Where from here? Can you do it for yourself, even if no one else does it? You can. Can you create that spaciousness for yourself? You can. And we call space by its nature, in this tradition, an essential refuge. Essential refuge. So like we better have that tool available now, right? We better access that one because sometimes I have no idea. I haven't figured it out. There's nothing brilliant happening. I'm in my own distress state. What can I do? Do that. I can create space and I can rest in it. I can rest in it. And I'd like you to try it and feel its effects for yourself. And realize that you are enacting the most essential and noblest principle. In that moment, you will be causing least harm. And it matters. Okay? It's already after 9. I know people have places to go. So can we sit for just a minute? Would that be workable? And we're just going to do that, creating that ocean breath. Once again, the breath that is arising, impacting. It invites the wave in us and settles back to itself. May we dedicate this breath, this practice, and all of its merits and all of its goodness. May we gather it here throughout all 3 times and the 10 directions. And may we offer it wholeheartedly to the end of suffering, the end of grasping, clinging, the end of our smallness, and the realization of true abiding equanimity, happiness, and freedom. May we do this for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for those special ones that we now call to mind. And we ask that this practice benefit all those beyond those we know and love and the special ones, all beings everywhere without exception. Omitting none. May we all be happy. May we all be free from affliction. May we have ease, equanimity, and well-being. And may we remember who we are, capable of surfing the vicissitudes of joy and sorrow, pleasure and pain, the 10,000 joys and the 10,000 sorrows, abiding, enjoying, celebrating, participating, and healing the whole of this life. Beginning with just this one breath. And this one. And may our practice continue and be sustained. Until the end of suffering for all beings. So be it.